Hello and welcome to my second video about Pokemon cards. Last time I looked at most of my rare cards and kind of went down memory lane talking about my memories with the Pokemon TCG and a lot of my, fond childhood experiences of getting cards. But here we're going to be talking about something I did recently as kind of a way to insert the fun back into collecting Pokemon cards. This is my boy binder, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, where I don't know, I'm not the first person to do this, but I thought it'd be fun to see if I can get one of every species from Gens 1 to 7. I don't know if I'm actually going to do Gen 7. Gen 8, I do have some cards too, but I'm probably not going to do that one. So really Gens 1 through 6. I know this is so nerdy being like, actually, technically, but, just I don't know. But, yeah, I was like, I probably do have one of each species. And even if I don't, there's so many cards at this point that for most Pokemon, there's bound to be one that it's accessible enough that I can find it, go to a card shop, maybe spend like $20 to fill in the ones that I'm missing. And it's just been a fun experience because, like a lot of people, I've got like a big box full of crappy Pokemon cards, commons, bulk, just stuff that nobody wants. And it's like actually finding a use for some of that is such a rewarding experience. Like, I don't know. Like, it reminds me of like people who use Pokemon cards for like crafts and stuff, where they like, get a bunch of this copies of the same card, they make 3D little like dioramas with it. Like, I think that's so cool and something that honestly I might want to do if I can find more cards, if I ever want to find even another thing to do with these cards. But as you can see here with these Kantos, the Kanto starters, I have a pretty big variety of different sources. Some of these you can tell were kind of filler, where I, went to a card shop and was explicitly looking for some ones to fill in. Other ones are just kind of lame, like Venusaur from Pokemon Go, or from Detective Pikachu and Charizard from Pokemon Go. Like, clearly these are not the coolest ones, and I would like to have at least these two, or the three Kanto starters have something cool in the beginning. But it was more so just about like filling in stuff and having one for everything. But I don't know. There's a good variety of gens here. You've got Gen 1, you've got Pokemon Go, Scarlet and Violet, X and Y, the Legends, I believe, or whatever, or that weird in-between series. And yeah, we've got, even a V card, but I don't know. It's just really awesome to see the Pokemon like this all together, and the kind of the eclectic view of them all. I put of the ones where I have like a bunch of multiples, I put my favorite art of each Pokemon in the front. So some of them were very deliberate, like this original Pikachu. I love the original Pikachu. So just an awesome iconic card. Same with Rattata, but I think that one's from Evolutions. Eradicate. Yeah, I don't know. The Gen 1 was the one I was most excited about, because I really do, I realize, Gen 1, it's been around forever. A lot of these Pokemon are pretty ordinary. There's not that many edge case Pokemon where it's like, there's a good reason for them to basically never be printed or not printed very often. So I had like all of them but 20. And after going to the card shop, I whittled it down to all of them except for 4. And we'll get to those, but yeah, we got some stuff from E-Series, some stuff from X and Y, some stuff from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I think that's said Gen 3. I think this one's from actually either Gen 3 or early Gen 4. Yeah, I don't know. It was just so fun putting this together and just looking at all of them. I realized some just amazing some amazing Pokemon card art, like this Paris. Like, I don't know, the colors on this, the mushroom, like, it's just gorgeous. I love this. Sorry if the viewing angle isn't the best. I'm working with what I've got. Yeah, here's Primeape, one of the ones I'm missing, unfortunately. I'll get him. He doesn't seem too hard to get. One of the ones, the lines that I was missing in particular, that I was very happy about getting, that I feel like is kind of important, is the Abra line. Because with Abra, Uri Geller, this magician dude, kind of people don't think he's a fraud, he probably is, Ben Spoons, his name, the Kadabra's name in Japan is kind of a pun on Uri Geller's stage name in some way, or it's very similar. So he sued them because of that, Kadabra did not get a card after the Wizards of the Coast era for 20 years until the 151 the 151 set. So I don't know, having him here, having this original one with this Japanese Alakazam, this is like $5, but I think it was worth it because I just historically I just love having them here. I really do want the original Abra as well because I feel like it means something like culturally in a very small way. If so, like I don't know, it's just awesome to have, and it was really rewarding putting that together, having him next to Machamp, his bro. One thing I hate about this is, as you can see, the evolution lines don't really line up in the Pokedex. Like, look at this. You've got first stage, second stage, third stage, you know, this beautiful block of 9 that's like perfect. And then you go a little bit further, you know, Gloom. Okay, that's a 3 stage. That's pretty good. This one's a little offset, but whatever. It's like they're similar enough, the Nidos, so whatever. But then we get to this, and there's like a bunch of 3 stages in a row that are just slightly off center. Like Poliwag's up here, but the other 2 are here. Abra's here. But like, if it was just slightly different, it would be so great. You know, you'd have 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and they would look so good. Like, oh my god. It's such a nerdy thing to care about, but I do care about it. And then they had the opportunity to, then they could have fixed it, you know? But then you have a 2 stage here. And, yeah, it's off-center, but now in a different way, where the final evolution's over here. This is so nerdy. I don't know who's watching this. Yeah, we've got... Gen 1 is, again, one of my favorites, because it's just so, you know, so ubiquitous. Ubiquitous? Sorry about the pronunciation of that word. To where I can just get cards from so many different sources, so many different times. Gen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even a few new cards. I do like this one. I got this one for 10 cents at the card shop. I say that, like, kind of epic, because it's just so weird to me that, like, a lot of holo cards are just worthless. Because I still think they're awesome, and a lot of them are way cooler than GXs, or, oh my god, GXs, that really shows my age. V cards, or V Maxes, or the new EXs, like, because they actually have interesting art, and they look cool. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a bummer, but yeah, I'm doing this so slowly. But yeah, I got a lot of more Gen 1 favorites. I do want a better Rhydon card, because he's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, I think. I love Jinx as well. I definitely need some better ones for some of these Pokemon, because, like, even after I finish getting all the Pokemon, I definitely want to see if I can maybe get some better art, or at least ones that I think are a little bit more, in line, because I like this Electabuzz, but the Evolutions print is a little bit, dark. Here, this next Pokemon that we're missing, actually on both sides. On this one, I believe, would be Ditto. Weirdly hard to find the TCG. He is one of those edge cases where it's like, it makes sense that he's kind of always a rare card, or like something like that. And on the other side, I'm missing 2 fossil Pokemon, Aerodactyl and Amistar, and those are the last 2. Yeah, I put an EX in there, because why not, just to have one in there. I think this is from, like, Breakthrough. I hear, like, a lawnmower outside. Whatever. Yeah, then we get to Gen 2, and again, the slight off-center of things, like, strikes again, where you have Chikorita and Bayleaf, and I guess Meganium would be there. This gets into the point where I have way less of the Pokemon. Some of them I do have, they're just in different binders, like, in my rare card binder, because I actually have Meganium, oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. I always do, because it's kind of a weak name, but Typhlosion, Feraligatr. I do have cards for all of them, and Furret. I just put them in the other binder, because they're rare, or cards that I think are special in some way. But yeah, Gen 2 is another one that's pretty easy. A lot of these cards are very ubiquitous, except the baby Pokemon. They are weirdly, like, almost never printed. Very rare, very hard to find. Especially, like, Tyrogue. Bonsly's from Gen 4, but he's another one. Why not? Is printed a little bit. I'd say the main culprits are the ones I don't have. So, like, Magby. Magby's later, actually. What am I even saying? Pichu, like, the baby Pokemon. They're hard to find. That's about it. Yeah, we've got a few other edge cases, like, my boy, Jumpluff. Yeah, that's him. He's not here. Kind of surprised by that. Seems like the exact kind of Pokemon you get as a regular rare. Missing the 2 Pokemon here. I'm actually not sure what they are. As we get, like, later, I'm not as, like, 100% knowledgeable about it all. I think it might actually be like Scizor should be here actually. Or no, Quagsire, and then maybe Scizor's here? Not really sure. Yeah, I do love Gen 2 a lot. Just a very solid addition to the original Pokemon. Sort of feel, they feel distinct in a lot of designs. Very simple and understated. Simple color palettes too, which is what I've noticed, you know. Gen 1 on the Game Boy, you know, a lot of these Pokemon kind of feel a little more natural. A lot of purples, a lot of blues and stuff like that. Just out of like trying to make these sprites that are mostly black and white into something, you know, an actual character. Well, Gen 2 got, you know, Game Boy Color, but it was still in this very basic era. I'm not sure exactly how the Pokemon were created, if it was the art or the sprite first, but the colors are very, you know, there's like two tones. A lot of these are two tones. Like, look, you got red and white, you've got brown and yellow, you've got blue and black, and I think that's cool. For some Pokemon like Granbull, you know, black and pink. His teeth are also pink. It's just cool. It's very subtle and interesting. Kind of freaky, honestly, with Granbull, but it's an interesting, different way to do, like, Pokemon. And I feel like it's so distinct to this day. Like, when you look at a Gen 2 Pokemon, you just know it's a Gen 2 Pokemon. And, I mean, there's some that you actually don't, and that makes them really weird and kind of unique. Like, Skarmory really doesn't feel like a Gen 2 Pokemon. Probably because it was kind of uncommon back in the day. Getting to the end of Gen 2, we've got Elekid, one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I need a better card for Elekid because I love Elekid. But yeah, I guess I should. Yeah, no, I've mentioned enough of my favorites. We have Entei, my favorite legendary Pokemon, or at least second favorite. I do want a good Tyranitar there. And now we go on to Gen 3. I thought Gen 3 should be one I don't have that many of, but, you know, during the XY era, Primal Clash and Roaring Skies, they did print a lot of Gen 3 Pokemon again. So I actually have quite a few of them. There are a few that, of course, they don't have. But, yeah, Gen 3 is pretty filled in, which is cool because I don't have many actual cards from the EX era from back in the day. So, you know, it's nice to have a good chunk of them. Roselia, one of my favorite Pokemon. I don't think there's that many good cards for Roselia, but I do want a better one, because Roselia is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Yeah, I do like Milotic a lot, though. I kind of want to put my Milotic C in here, because that's a card that means a lot to me. Yeah, a lot of random spaces here. Huntail, it's kind of an obscure Pokemon. They don't have that much. And then when we get to Gen 3 and beyond, legendaries start becoming a problem because they just pumped out way more legendaries around this time, more and more. And, you know, legendaries are either more expensive cards or there's just so many of them that, you know, they can't always be printed. So, don't have Regirock. I have Rayquaza, but I don't have one here. Deoxys is a mythical, so I don't got it. Latios, it just kind of like, you know, it kind of puts more holes into it. And now we're on Gen 4. This is, weirdly enough, the generation I have the least Pokemon from. I guess, well, not weirdly enough, because I never had, and I've never opened a Gen 4 pack. But, I don't know. There's only 100 Gen 4 Pokemon, so you'd think it wouldn't be that difficult. But a lot of them are these weird Pokemon that are either, like, legendaries, so they're kind of hard to find, or baby Pokemon, so they're just not relevant enough to be printed very often. So, we have a lot of holes here. I mean, of course, Bidoof. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time is from Gen 4. But I'm not a huge fan of the generation in total. There's just not a lot of Pokemon that stick with me. A lot of them feel a little bit bland, you know. Gen 2 has a very clear identity. Gen 3 has the whole tropical thing. A lot of them feel very plant-like and sort of island-esque, you know. A lot of these, like, this dang triangle, this kind of, like, half-circle shape is everywhere. I wouldn't say things are rounded off, like, entirely, but, like, there's very distinct shapes that I feel like make up most of the Pokemon. But when you get to Gen 4, it just kind of feels like they're just... I guess they all feel like toys? That's how I describe Gen 4. Like, the colors are kind of garish, very plasticky. Some of them feel off. I don't hate Gen 4 Pokemon. I'm just saying that I feel like they don't really work as, like, a collection in the same way that the other ones do. There's not a lot of distinction to them as a group. And there's so many different subgroups that they kind of split off into. Like, Of the new evolutions from Gen 4, I'm mixed on them, because there's some that I think are amazing. Like Weavile is one of my favorite Pokemon. I love it. Magnezone is amazing. Togekiss. But then we have ones like Magmortar, who I don't have, and Electivire, who I just think dropped the ball. They're just not nearly as interesting as the original versions that were just a lot more classic. These ones feel like they're trying to make... Oh, Rhyperiors. I hate Rhyperior. But yeah, we get to the legendaries. Tons of spots here. And then we get to Gen 5, which is probably one, maybe not my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite. Pokedex-wise, it's up there. But yeah, Gen 5. I love Gen 5. That's the gist of it. Gen 5, I have a ton filled in. Specifically because of that new set. What great timing. A set full of Gen 5 Pokemon. So I just went to the card shop, and through memory and looking at my little list, I tried to fill in as many as I could. And here we go, you know. I have all the starters. All these early Gen 5 Pokemon. Not a huge fan of them. But I will say that Gen 5 has an extremely distinct character. There's something about it feeling like a more complicated version of Gen 1, and the way it kind of has a lot of the same tropes, but like through them being the same, you can recognize the differences. Like the difference between Zubat and Woobat is like so obvious. Like this thing is so distinctly Gen 5. There's something about it, you know? A lot of darker colors too. A lot of black and red is kind of what I associate with Gen 5. I guess white too for black and white, but maybe not as much white. Lots of Pokemon I do quite like. Not as many that I'm like, this is my favorite Pokemon of all time kind of level, but a lot of ones that I just generally think are just good designs, like Whimsicott, Lilligant, Leavanny. I do like Darmanitan quite a bit. Crocodile's an amazing design. Maybe that one's in that higher echelon. The fossil Pokemon, Archeops is amazing. That's some I'm missing a few. I'm missing Caracosta and Tortuga. Actually, Reuniclus is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. That would be in that upper echelon. I just love this thing. It's so unique. I love how they made this weird thing look so cute. It's just awesome. Yeah, some more Gen 5 Pokemon. Escavalier, another great design. When we get towards the end, we've got some legendaries. I don't like the Gen 5 legendaries that much. There's one exception. There's a few exceptions. But the Three Musketeers, I had like a weird vendetta against them. I don't know why. I think I like had a tough time catching Verizon or whatever. So I just decided that I hated it. And then I just kind of parroted that for no reason. Like, oh, I hate Verizon. Yeah, missing a few here. One of the ones I'm missing is one of my favorite Pokemon. I do have a few rare cards for it, but they're in the big binder. Reshiram. That is probably my second favorite legendary behind Entei, or, you know, they're up there. I just think they're very complicated, but in a beautiful way. They kind of remind me of Xenoblade Chronicles. It's kind of hard to explain why. I guess from just being this big, complicated beast that's, you know, so complex, yet very elegant and beautiful. Yeah. Gen 5, love Gen 5. Definitely want to round that one out. And then we get to Gen 6. Honestly, this probably should have been an easier one to fill in, because Gen 6 is very small, but I guess not, because I don't have all of them. But Gen 6, you know, I was collecting the Pokemon cards a lot during Gen 6, so I should have most of these. I do think it has a very distinct character. It feels like, it's kind of like Gen 3 in a way, where like, there's just a lot of solid Pokemon designs, none that I think are like amazing, but like, they feel distinctly like, I don't know, there's like a European flair to them. It's hard to explain. I guess it is Kalos French. But lots of appealing colors and like weird shapes. It's like they're in between this line where none of them are like traditionally cute or cool. They're kind of in the middle. It's like, this is when they really put in that philosophy of like, no Pokemon can be too cute or too cool, you know? And they were also definitely trying to get rid of a lot of like the more silly ones, it feels like. There's not as many like goofballs. And, oh my god, I can go on forever. I'm such a freaking chatterbox about this kind of thing. But I feel like they were also kind of an underrated theme of X and Y is the whole theme of RPGs. You know, these three starters are based on the basic classes of an RPG. You've got a paladin, a mage, and then a ninja. And then you have other ones that are kind of based on RPG tropes, like Gumi and Gudra. Those are definitely, I think they're a genius design. The way they're based on the slime, like, I think that's so cool and such a unique thing. I think Goodra is not, it doesn't stick the landing completely, but it's still so, like, awesome. Like, that's such a cool design. It's such a cool idea. Maybe those are the only examples, but yeah, Gen 6 is good. I don't think I love any of these Pokemon, especially. I have a nostalgic fondness for many of them. I do think it's kind of interesting how, like, forgotten a lot of them are. Like, it feels like Gen 6 really was just, like, left in the past. Because a lot of these are kind of, like, typical. There's not much reason to really care about the Scatterbug line, or, I don't know, like Pancham, even though it seems like they print him constantly. Same with Inkay. They print Inkay in, like, every single set. Yeah, Fairy type was introduced here, which is cool. It's kind of surprising that they got rid of Fairy type in Gen 8, I believe. It's just kind of strange, like, like, okay, whatever. Yeah, no Pokemon here, I think, that, like, I'm, like, so in love with that I, like, on that same level. I do love Gumi a lot. As a kid, I really loved Hawlucha. I still do like him, but not to the same extent. And here we are at the end. Yeah, I'm missing a few of the legendaries. One thing I like about X and Y a lot is that there's just not a lot of legendaries, because I feel like having less makes them more impactful. I say that, yet Volcanion exists. What a dud of a Pokemon. Like, whose favorite Pokemon is Volcanion? The thing, like, I don't even know. The thing sucks. But yeah, that's my binder. I'm missing maybe like 150 of them, 100 or so. It's getting less. I could, there's some that'll be easier to fill than others. But looking at Pokemon cards in this way has really just made them fun again. It's invigorated my love for Pokemon in a way. Because, I don't know, just seeing them together, catching them all in my own way, having the nerdy binder aspect of it with, like, the collection, like, it's just really fun. And I've had a blast doing this. I don't know if I'll continue. I have a big stack of Gen 7 Pokemon. I think the reason Gen 7 is daunting to me is, Gen 6 had 6 legendaries, or 7. It's enough. It's a good, okay amount. I really like this round number, kind of like a classic. Kind of the amount you'd have in, like, a Gen 2 or something. Gen 7 has, like, fucking 30 legendaries, and they're all shit. Like, maybe not all shit, but, like, so many of them are just so lame. Not lame, I just don't care about them. I don't care about any of the Ultra Beasts. Like, Tapu Koko and that whole line's okay. I'm not a huge fan or anything. The new ones they added in Ultra Sun, I couldn't care less about. I have most of the normal Pokemon. It's just these rare, like, these crazy, I don't know. It's just, that just doesn't seem fun to try to look for all the different Ultra Beasts and stuff. Like, I don't want to do that. So maybe I'll do it up until, like, the regular legendaries, because I have a Solgaleo somewhere. But yeah, that is my experience with this, and I'm probably not going to do Gen 8, because why would I do that? I have... But yeah, I don't know. I could probably say more, but it's just been fun collecting these, looking at them. I do kind of miss the variety, the eclectic variety of the first few gens, because obviously the later you go, the more of these are just going to be straight up modern cards, like Gen 6, all of them are modern cards, because of course that's always, big, it's such a stupid thing to say, whatever. But yeah, thank you for watching. This is the end of part 2. Had a lot of fun with this.